We very similar. It's funny that we are talking about sports because I find that the kids that my daughter and that my son play with are more drawn to this idea of coaching than any other things.
Right.
So this whole concept of me university. So what I do is really invite clients to become students of themselves. Everything is based in emotional intelligence, but I invite them to really to have this structured way of seeing themselves more clearly.
Okay.
And it definitely works for athletes, of course, to really evaluate your own performance and not depend on other people.
Right.
But we offer basically our clients a way to see themselves more clearly, in essence, as a way of getting closer to the life you want to live and the impact you want to have. We do that through facilitation. We have whole group learning sessions, we have team sessions, and we have one-on-one coaching. Again, everything is grounded in emotional intelligence. I started the business in 2017, but of course, COVID, the last year, we kicked into high gear because it really turned out to be a great opportunity to support teachers, school leaders, district leaders. And that's where we've kind of doubled down on the work in the educational sector over the last year. That's been the greatest, I think that's been our primary audience over the last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what led you down that path?
So I was a teacher. I actually moved to Memphis to teach in 2000. Yep. So I taught for about 13 years and then went into administration, ended up opening a school, was a principal for a couple of years. But what I loved about all of it was coaching.
Yeah.
That's what I loved. If coaching, if observing teachers and giving feedback on a lesson or on their content or anything, if that was on my calendar for the day, I'm golden. All the other stuff, you can keep that. I don't want to do that.
You don't want to deal with the kids, but you can deal with the team.
Yeah. I love the kids, I was an elementary school principal. So of course the hugs and the floor time and all of that, all of that was wonderful. But what gave me energy was coaching teachers.
Yes.
And not just coaching them on their lesson, but really on who you are and how that's showing up in your lesson.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, to be able to find a calling like that, especially in an area where it's so needed. I mean, that's and the everyday routines and just the administration of within school districts and just takes away from the actual teaching itself, which must make a huge impact on those teachers.
Yeah, it's been really wonderful. And I think people often ask me where did you first know that was your calling?
Yeah.
And what's really odd is I had to really think about this. In 8th grade at Prattville Junior High School in Prattville, Alabama, we organized the first Black History program. And I was the student speaker. And that was the first time I'd ever said, live in alignment with who you say you are.
Yep. Wow.
It's full circle.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was the thing back then, or that this was even a job to even aspire to. Who does that?
You're right. Yeah. Yes.
And is able to actually pay bills? What?
Yes.
Who does that? But yeah, that's the seed that is the genesis of what is now Silent Rock Educational Services and the Me University part of it that's coming out next month.
Wow. So the expansion you saw, this Me University, tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so Me University is my baby. So what we found in, even with everything shifting during the pandemic and shifting to more of a virtual space, doing coaching virtually, it really kind of sped up the timeline ultimately.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we were always going to, try to do more international coaching, do more, reach beyond Memphis and just do more. And it just kind of sped that process up. So when I started to do the online coaching, the version of online coaching that I do, I started to have some ahas. I also did 6 years, served 6 years with leading educators. I was their coach. I I was responsible for coaching design, coaching development. And that's when I got more into emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And learned more about it, went to the Daniel Goleman emotional intelligence work and cohort and did that kind of certification side of it. But in doing that, we were developing online courses to partner with what we did on the grounds anyway. And so in doing that, I was like, wait, it kind of came back to me after we started doing more online coaching, during the pandemic time. Yeah. Why don't, for the people that I can't reach, that maybe can't afford the coaching hourly rate,
sure,
just put it together in an online course and let them go through it that way and just have touch points that way, so that it's not time intensive on my part, but I can have a greater impact. And that's really what it's all about, making what Daniel Goleman talks about it, like democratizing EI.
Right.
Everyone should have this. It shouldn't be reserved for the few who can afford coaching or who can afford to come to a session. Yeah. So the online course is kind of designed that way for people to really, it's a structured way for you to become a student of your own thoughts and actions. Wow. The first course is Self-Awareness 101. And it's deep. It's 4 weeks. It focuses on, all the things that are, I call it in your soil, like what makes you do what you do. It's all the stuff in your soil.
Sure.
Wow. And so, it kind of walks people through uncovering what's in your soil and how that shows up in your life every single day, down to the habits that we unknowingly just do automatically.
Sure. I think people fall into routines and ruts. And realize where they're at. And as a business coach, that's one of the first things we talk about is, you've owned it. Why did you start this business? And you talk about alignment. I mean, that's what we talk about too. Is how do you align your goals with where your business is? Is everybody on your team, are they aligned with what those goals and what does it look like? And so many people are now in business just to get a paycheck, but they don't realize it. They own the business, but they're really they're getting a paycheck. They don't
and that is not where I want to be.
Right.
Let's be clear.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's as a business coaching is very much personal, because people start businesses for all different types of reasons, and the sheer pressures and involvement that go on all the time, every day in a business, can distract them from that, and they can stagnate. And there's a reason 80% of businesses fail in 5 years. It's because it's not what they thought it was going to be, and that's a shame, because everybody starts out with a passion, and that's where a coach, from your side, of even from a business coach, that's where they come important. Even the best athletes always have coaches.
Exactly.
Because you're always looking to improve, and somebody else from the outside can talk to you a little differently than you see things.
Yeah,
and so
that's exactly it.
So coaching is, I think, it's a growing area that people are getting more acceptable, and you don't have to be in trouble to take on a coach. You just have to want to get better and do things better than the way you're doing it right now. And a coach can help you do that, because they don't have that intimate knowledge of your business. They're looking at it as a holistic type of thing. And where is it that you want to be in 5 years' time, and how can we get you there? Because I'm certainly not going to work in your business, but I'm going to help you get where you want to be with that business, to allow you to. There's an expression that we use a lot, and it's like working on your business instead of in your business. Sort of how we go about trying to work with these business owners is we want to make you spend time working on the business and not in the business all the time.
That's good.
People just it's just the day-to-day business, the pressures of every day, and do I need to put this price up, do I need to do this, and and all those sort of things that they don't have a big network to fall back on. Basically what you're talking about, in Action Coach, we have this thing called membership, and the people who are in that, they meet for 1 day every month, and they go through, and their peer group calls every week, And then they have one day where they all get together in a room somewhere and they talk about their businesses. And as a coach, I'm there to help them and give them advice. But you've got other peers around you who are all experiencing the same sort of thing. So one-on-one coaching is still there, but I don't think it's going to be the way forward. This membership type coaching, I think, is going to be great.
Yeah, it sounds like masterminds, like a mastermind group.
Sort of, yeah. It's just a great way to put people in the room together, and it makes you accountable to each other as well, because you're all in it for the same reason. And in the end, we all need somebody to be accountable to.
That's funny that you raised that, because that's really my biggest learning.
Yeah.
That my vision can't live in isolation. Like, I have to have people, and finding my people is what I call them, my tribe.
Yeah.
And meeting with my tribe helped me to learn so much about business that I would have never even come across unless I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Everything from the systems to automating things to taxes to all the things that people who are more experienced that I've become have become a part of my tribe. Have helped me to really, come closer to that huge learning curve that I was on.
Right.
Helped me to get a little closer to it. It's still not there, but it definitely gets closer with everyone else's experiences down in.
Right. It's a huge learning curve, and it's an ongoing learning curve too. It never ends. There's always new challenges and new innovations that need to be made. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a stagnation. And the whole new launch you have coming up is a great example. You have to innovate.
Yes.
And to change, you don't want to be the same chicken. Here in Colleyville, there's a Slim Chickens opened up, and there's a Zaxby's, and now they're building a Guthrie's. It's like, how many versions?
How much chicken?
What is it that separates Guthrie's from the Slim Chickens down the road? Basically, it's the same chicken tent. I don't know, but
it's got to be the same.
Yeah,
there are minor differences between that batter.
And I'm sure people will tell you what that difference is. I'm not a sir, so I can't really say.
Exactly. But to your point, I think Me University that's the innovation that's coming out of us this year, because we have been in the coaching space, in the one-on-one coaching space. We've been in the speaking space. We've been in the facilitation, all of these kind of one-off kind of gigs, or even, schools will buy whole packages where I'm coaching, I'm speaking, I'm facilitating, I'm doing all the things, at their school. But for people that I can't reach, I will never be able to go to your school and do this in this way.
Yeah.
Everyone has access to this.
Yeah.
Everyone. So staying on the cutting edge of that type of innovation, I think the mastermind group, kind of my tribe, they help me to think through, what does that look like? What could it look like? What are you not thinking about yet? What is the cost of doing this?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it's virtual, but what is your actual cost? Like, if you broke down the number of hours you're putting into this, what do you actually need people to pay for this course? How many people need to go through this year for you to actually recoup what you've actually spent out in time?
Right.
Those kinds of things that I would never think about, because it's to your point, it's passion. So you just pour in.
Right.
You pour in. You don't consider all those things.
I ask coaches, I ask my clients to work out how much an hour they're actually being paid. And then, what? Oh, that's a stupid thing to do. And then we work it out, and they're like, oh, it's like $7 an hour or $5 an hour for all the time they put into it. And so that's the point. If you don't look at those things, you're doomed to continue to do the same things over and over again. You're not going to go. And so I think coaching in any world is vital and really important for people to buy into, because it can offer you so much to help you. there's always been bad actors out there that have said they're coaches for one thing or another, and it's the same in the soccer world. I mean, there are soccer coaches who they're all about their own resume and wanting to themselves by wins, when at the end of the day when you're working with kids, you've got to be engaged with them because there's more to it than that. But those coaches are rare. The mentality is you got to win at whatever cost, and it's the number of medals or the number of tournaments and things. And I think that's what all people see coaching as. And that's what I liked about Action Coach is it doesn't look at things that way. We're not a consulting type place. We're all come in and write you a 300-page report and tell you what you should be doing, and then say thanks, I'll see you.
Who wants to do that?
Right?
No.
So just like you, we're in it for as long as the business needs us. And coaching is people have to realize what it is to realize that they need it. And that is a challenge, I would imagine, on your side too, is
yes,
helping a lot of people see what they need it.
Yeah, lots of people get confused in what I do versus what a therapist would do.
Yeah.
And so trying to distinguish for them, even though it's emotional intelligence and it is more like holistic coaching, which feels sometimes like therapy. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not taking you back to that moment in your childhood when your parents said this and that. I'm not taking you back to that. I'm trying to figure out how that shows up right now. No. And how do we keep that from impacting the goals that you have or what you're trying to do? Or how do you recognize that that's coming up?
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you mitigate that? What are the strategies you're using to solve for that when that feeling from your childhood comes up?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not taking you back there because I don't do that.
That's way too much.
That's too much. So I tell people you need a therapist and you need a coach. You need both. Yes, you need both. The therapist is going to take you back there and let you relive all those feelings and all those moments. Yeah. I'm going to take you from where you are.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's exactly the same way. It's just like, I need to know some things, but really, I don't need to know how you got to where you are today. We just have to accept where we are, and move forward and say, where do you want to be?
Yep.
What is it you see? As part of an Action Coach training, they make you make a dream board.
Yeah.
And just
that's good.
Pin all these things together and see, where this is what it would look like for me in 5 years' time to be a successful business coach and stuff like that. So I think it's really, really cool. So how would people get in touch with you?
So Facebook, LinkedIn, and my my webpage, which is silentrocked.com. That's the best place to go because everything is going to be there. Or you can always reach out to me at Dr. Precious on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm on all of them.
We have to be everywhere.
We have to be everywhere, and it's exhausting, but we have to be everywhere.
You have to dedicate a whole day to doing nothing but doing that.
Just social media. I try to just do a morning, once a week, a morning of just knocking that out and getting everything out there. But yes, my website is the best place because that's going to be the most up to date. It's going to have all the links and all the things in one place, even the merchandise, the Me University t-shirts and journals and all of that. All the merchandise is actually there.
Fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time, and we will put this video together and I'll send you a link to it, and then we'll start putting it out in the LinkedIn and all these other places and in our newsletter. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, I'm excited. You had one question in there. I want to make sure that we respond to, so you can use however you want to. Okay. But the question was, what is most inspiring you today? Yeah. And that question is like bubbling in my spirit because I'm so inspired by just the sheer number of people who are intentionally slowing down. Like we can only see ourselves, our true selves, when we slow down enough to fully process who we are, why we are who we are, how that's impacting where we're trying to go. So I'm seeing everyone from teens to seasoned professionals take intentional pauses, and that is inspiring.
It is. Yeah, I took an intentional pause. I got laid off from a job, but it turned out to be the best thing because it led me to the path where I am now.
Right? Yeah. Right? And just think about if you had sped through, let me find another job, another job. And like, you would not have found this path. So just, I'm inspired by just the fact that people are learning to slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down enough to see it. And hopefully they'll grab hold to Me University while they're slowing down.
Yeah.
And slow down on purpose in a very structured way
to
become a student of themselves during this process.